The sleepless nights begin. Josh lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The clock on the wall blinked 2:47 a.m. His eyes were red. His body ached. All he wanted was to sleep. Just one full night. That was all. But sleep was now a rare gift in his life. Because of her. "Josh," a voice called softly from the corner of the dark room. "Get up. We begin again." He groaned and turned his head. In the shadows stood a tall figure with glowing violet eyes and silver skin. Her name was Velzeri, and she was not from Earth. She was his wife. Josh sat up slowly. "Vel, can't we skip tonight? Please, just one night off." She stepped into the moonlight coming through the window. Her armor shimmered slightly. Her long black hair flowed down her back like ink in water. "No," she said firmly. "You are still weak. Earth is not safe. You must be stronger." Josh sighed and rubbed his face. "You said that yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that." Velzeri crossed her arms. "And yet, you still move like a soft berry. A single hit would crush you." He muttered under his breath and followed her outside. Their backyard had become a training ground. Alien weapons lay on the grass. Strange machines floated nearby, glowing softly. The air smelled like metal and ozone. Josh picked up the practice staff. It was heavier than it looked. Velzeri circled him. "Defend. Now." She struck first, fast and hard. Josh barely blocked it, his arms shaking from the impact. He swung back, but she dodged with ease. "I'm a graphic designer," Josh said, panting. "Not a warrior." "You are my mate," she said, "and my enemies will come for you. I will not let them take you." Josh looked into her eyes. For a moment, he saw worry behind her strength. Fear, even. "Who's coming?" he asked. "Why won't you tell me?" Velzeri looked up at the sky. Stars twinkled above like tiny fireflies. But one of them moved. "They are watching," she said. "They wait. They hunt hybrids like us." Josh's heart beat faster. "Hybrids. But I'm human. You're, well, not. But we don't have kids." "Not yet," she said. "But they fear the possibility. They fear what we might become." Suddenly, a loud crack echoed across the yard. Josh dropped the staff and spun around. A tree near the edge of their property had split down the middle. A strange mark was carved into the bark, 3 sharp lines, like claws. Velzeri rushed forward and ran her fingers over the mark. Her face turned pale, even with her silver skin. "What is it?" Josh asked. She whispered something in her alien language. Then she turned to him. "It's a message," she said. "A warning." Josh felt cold. "What does it say?" Velzeri looked into his eyes. "It says, protect the hybrid." He stepped back. "Is that about me?" "I don't know," she said. "But someone or something knows about us. And they are close." Josh looked at the sky. That moving star was gone. He felt a chill run through his body. The next day, Josh tried to act normal. He went to the grocery store. He waved at neighbors. He answered emails. But his mind kept going back to that mark. That message. And to Velzeri. She stayed inside all day, scanning the skies with a small alien device. She didn't speak much. She looked tense. That night, Josh couldn't sleep again. He sat by the window, watching the stars. One hand held a hot mug of tea. The other trembled. Velzeri walked over and sat beside him. "I'm sorry," she said. He looked at her, surprised. "For what?" "For taking your sleep. Your peace. Your human life." Josh smiled a little. "You also gave me adventure, cool tech, and a warrior wife who could bench press a car." She didn't smile back. "I gave you danger," she said. "And now it is near." Josh put a hand on hers. "Then help me face it. I'll train. I'll fight. Just tell me the truth." Velzeri nodded slowly. Then you must know. The mark on the tree. It belongs to the hunters of the void. They track alien warriors who break the ancient laws. And I broke the greatest one. Josh blinked. What law? Velzeri stood up and looked out into the night. I married a human, she said. And now, they will come for us both. The warrior's routine. The sun had not yet risen, but Josh was already on his feet, sweating, panting, and struggling to lift a jagged alien weight that hummed with a faint purple light. His hands burned. His back ached. But still, he kept going. Velzeri stood near him, arms crossed, watching in silence. 10 more reps, she said coldly. Josh grunted. You said 10 more 5 minutes ago. You're improving, she replied. That's why I keep raising the bar. Josh dropped the weight and collapsed to the ground. He looked up at the early morning sky. I'm gonna die before the aliens even get here. Velzeri didn't laugh. She never did during training. The grass under his body buzzed with small training bots, spider-like machines that corrected his stance, analyzed his sweat, and delivered small shocks when his focus dropped. He hated them, but he had to admit, he was changing. Just 1 week ago, he couldn't even hold the alien staff properly. Now he could spar with Velzeri for at least 30 seconds before getting knocked out. Get up, Velzeri said. We begin agility now. Josh groaned. Can I at least have breakfast first? She handed him a green protein bar that smelled like seaweed and glue. Here, eat while you run. The routine was brutal. Every day from dawn to nightfall, Velzeri pushed Josh to his limit and beyond. Mornings began with strength training using alien weights that adjusted based on his muscle tension. Midday was combat. Swords, staffs, alien knives, hand-to-hand drills. Velzeri never went easy on him, even when he bled. Evenings were for survival training, learning to identify alien toxins, build traps, break codes, and use her advanced scanner. Then came language drills, alien history, and mental focus training. Sometimes he trained until midnight. Velzeri never seemed to tire. Josh often wondered what powered her. Was it just love, duty, or fear? One night, after an especially hard day, he found her sitting alone on the roof, staring at the stars. She was humming a soft tune. It was haunting, like a lullaby from a world long lost. He climbed up beside her, his body sore and bandaged. You always seem so calm, he said, like none of this is breaking you. She didn't look at him. You think I am calm because I do not scream. He blinked. I am not calm, Josh, she said quietly. Every day I feel the storm coming closer. I do not train you because I enjoy it. I train you because if I stop, you will die, and I will lose the only thing I still have. He was silent for a moment. Then he said softly, You still have your people, don't you? She shook her head slowly. No, my people fell in the Black Cycle War. We were proud, strong, but we became too comfortable, too peaceful. We forgot how to fight. So when the hunters came, they destroyed us easily. She finally looked at him, her eyes shining with sadness. I do not want Earth to make the same mistake. The next day, training took a dark turn. During a rest break, Velzeri received a message on her holocom. It was a distorted voice in her own language, harsh and mechanical. Josh couldn't understand it, but he saw her face change. All color drained from it. She turned off the device without saying a word. What was that? Josh asked, wiping sweat from his forehead. She didn't answer. Instead, she rushed inside and pulled a glowing crystal from her hidden storage chamber. She placed it in the center of the room. It projected a swirling image, a map of nearby space. Josh stepped forward. What are we looking at? Velzeri pointed to a red blinking dot. That is a bounty signal, she said grimly. A bounty? For who? Her voice was quiet. For you. Josh's stomach dropped. Wait, why me? Your DNA, she said. They've scanned it. They know you are compatible with Cretharian blood. That makes you valuable, dangerous. If we ever have a child, it could be the first true hybrid of strength and mind. Josh laughed nervously. We don't even have kids. They don't care. They fear what you could become, what we could create. He sat down slowly. The room felt colder now. He looked around at the alien weapons, the blinking machines, the security fields. All this time, he thought Velzeri was overreacting. Now he understood. She wasn't training him for fun. She was preparing him for war. That night, he couldn't sleep again. He lay beside her in silence, thinking about the bounty, the training, the claw mark on the tree. Suddenly, he heard something outside. A low hiss. He rushed to the window. In the distance, near the trees, a shadow moved. It was tall, not human. Its eyes glowed yellow in the dark. Velzeri was already beside him, her weapon drawn. They're here, she whispered. The truth behind the marriage. The night was still. Too still. Josh held his breath as he peered out the window. The figure in the trees hadn't moved. It stood tall, motionless, its yellow eyes glowing like twin fires. For a moment, it felt like even the stars above had stopped blinking. Velzeri was beside him, her energy blade humming low in her hand. Her eyes were focused, her breath steady. That is a shadow hunter, she whispered. One of the silent ones. They do not speak. They only follow. And when the time is right, they kill. Josh swallowed hard. So what do? We don't run, she said, standing tall. Running shows fear. We show strength. She opened the window and threw a tiny glowing orb outside. The orb exploded in the air like a flare. Blinding light lit up the entire yard. The creature was gone. Velzeri stared into the trees for a long time. Then she turned, closed the window, and locked it with a magnetic seal. They are testing us, she said, waiting for the moment when you are alone. When I am not there. Josh sat down, his heart still pounding. Why are they doing this? What do they really want? Velzeri didn't answer right away. Instead, she went to the corner of the room, opened a hidden panel, and pulled out a small glowing cube. She placed it on the table. A projection appeared, a hologram of a younger Velzeri, kneeling in front of a circle of alien elders. Their faces were old and cold, their voices deep and sharp. Josh listened, confused, until a hologram translated. You are to bond with a high-ranking Cretharian male, one elder said, to preserve the bloodline. Young Velzeri bowed her head. But I do not love him. Love is not required, the elder snapped. Power is. The recording ended. Josh blinked. You were supposed to marry someone else. Velzeri nodded slowly. They chose my life before I could live it. Cretharian warrior females are not free. We are born to serve, to protect the strength of our people. But I left. She touched the cube gently, her voice softer now. I came to Earth not just to escape war, but to escape them. I thought humans were weak. But then I met you. Josh looked at her, confused. So, was this, us, just part of the escape? She turned to face him. At first, yes. You were kind, simple, gentle. I thought I could hide here, pretend to have a normal life. Her voice cracked slightly. But then, I saw you fight for a bird caught in plastic. I saw you give food to a homeless man without telling anyone. I saw you stand up to that man at the gas station even when you were scared. You were brave in ways no warrior ever taught. That's when I knew. I didn't just choose you to hide behind. Josh was silent. His heart felt heavy and full at the same time. He never saw himself as brave, just human. I love you, Josh, Velzeri said, more than I ever loved my planet. Tears formed in his eyes. But before he could speak, the house shook. A loud crashing sound echoed from the front yard. They both ran outside. One of Velzeri's scanning towers had exploded, melted into a puddle of glowing sludge. Josh looked up and gasped. In the sky, a dark ship hovered silently. It had no lights, no noise, just a black shadow covering the stars. Velzeri activated her communicator. Defensive shields up. Prepare anti-grav cannons. But nothing happened. Josh looked at the control panel on her wrist. Why isn't it working? She stared at the screen. They're jamming our tech. They knew how to disable it. Josh's voice shook. What do they want now? Velzeri looked at him, eyes filled with fear and rage. They're here to collect the bounty. Alive, if possible, but dead will also do. Suddenly, something fell from the ship. A pod. It hit the ground and burst open. Smoke poured out. When the smoke cleared, Josh stepped back in horror. It was a creature made of metal and bone, with no eyes and no mouth, holding a glowing net. Velzeri pulled Josh behind her. That is a bone collector, she said. They only send those when they want to extract DNA directly. It will take you to a lab and rip you apart to study what makes you special. Josh froze. We have to run. Velzeri didn't move. No, this is our ground. We fight here. Josh looked at her, unsure, but then he saw her eyes, burning with fire, with love, with fury, and something inside him clicked. He grabbed the alien staff from the wall. His hands trembled, but he held it firm. Then let's fight. Hunted by the galactic lords. The bone collector lunged. Its metal arms stretched far, pulling out the glowing net that crackled with blue electricity. It moved like a machine but hunted like a predator, silent, focused, deadly. Josh raised the alien staff. He had no plan, no real combat skill, just fear and Velzeri's training. The creature struck. Josh dodged left, barely. The ground where he had stood exploded with a blast of energy. Smoke and dust flew into the air. Velzeri was already in motion. She jumped high, landing on the bone collector's back. Her blade sliced across its shoulder, leaving a deep gash. Sparks flew. The creature roared without a mouth. A horrible sound came from deep inside its chest, something like metal grinding metal. Josh stumbled back, gripping his staff. Velzeri shouted, hit the spine, the back of its neck. Josh ran forward and swung hard. The staff hummed, glowing as it connected with the creature's neck. A sharp crack echoed. The bone collector dropped to its knees, then collapsed. Smoke rose from its body. Josh stood there, breathing hard. His arms shook. You did well, Velzeri said, placing a hand on his shoulder. But she didn't smile, because above them, the ship still hovered. They were testing us, she said. This was only the beginning. The next day, Velzeri took Josh underground. Deep under their home, hidden behind a false wall, and several alien locks, was a large metallic chamber. Inside were long metal containers, weapons, and advanced tech Josh had never seen before. This was my escape vault, she explained. I was saving it for war. And now, war has come. Josh looked around in awe. What is all this? Supplies, alien gear, emergency plans, and information the lords don't want anyone to know. She pulled out a small blue orb and placed it in a machine. A hologram appeared. It showed a map of galaxies, and red dots blinking across it. Josh counted them. Are these planets? Yes, Velzeri said. Planets where the galactic lords have wiped out hybrids. Any world where a human or similar being showed signs of evolution was destroyed. Josh stared in horror. But why? Because, she said coldly, they fear what they cannot control. Humans are unpredictable, emotional, wild. But when mixed with alien blood, you become something more. Josh sat down. His head was spinning. You mean, I'm dangerous to them? Velzeri nodded. You are the future they fear. Later that night, they left Earth. Josh was shocked when Velzeri revealed a hidden spacecraft beneath their barn. It looked like a rusty old truck from the outside, but once inside, the walls glowed and the engines purred like a beast ready to roar. We cannot hide here anymore, she said. If they sent a bone collector to Earth, then Earth is no longer safe. Josh didn't want to leave his home, his life, or his favorite pizza place, but he also didn't want to die in a lab. They took off in the ship, straight into the stars. Their destination was the Edge Market, a massive space station hidden in the shadow of a dead planet. It was one of the few places in the galaxy where information, weapons, and secrets could still be traded without Galactic Lord control. As soon as they landed, Josh felt eyes on him. Velzeri handed him a small device. This will hide your human scent. My scent? He asked, confused. Humans smell like warm sugar and oil to some creatures, she said without emotion. It makes them want to eat you. Oh, great. They walked through the market, past creatures with 3 eyes, floating heads, talking plants, and strange glowing children who sang in colors. It was overwhelming. Josh couldn't stop staring. Then they saw it. A poster. On the wall, glowing in red. It showed Josh's face, with the words, Wanted, human hybrid, dead or alive, 500,000 units. Josh froze. Velzeri ripped the poster off the wall and shoved it into her bag. They are hunting you openly now, she whispered. We must move quickly. They ducked into a back alley. There they met someone unexpected. An old friend of Velzeri, a rebel warrior named Turok. He had 4 arms, half of his face was robotic, and his laugh sounded like metal breaking. Didn't think I'd see the galaxy's most wanted couple walk into my market, Turok said with a grin. We need your help, Velzeri said. Turok leaned close to Josh. So this is the human, huh? Doesn't look like much. Josh held up his staff. Wanna test that theory? Turok laughed again. I like him. That night, Turok shared shocking news. The Lords are not just after you, he said. They've already captured others like you, hybrids from other planets. They're being held in a lab on Exarvok 9. A dark place. No one comes back. Josh's jaw tightened. How many? Dozens, maybe more. Some are children. Velzeri looked at Josh. We have to get them out. Josh didn't hesitate. Then let's go. We fight back. No more running. Turok smiled. You're crazy, but I'll help you. As they prepared to leave, Josh paused. He looked at Velzeri, his voice quiet. All this time, I thought you were just training me because I was weak. She looked at him with pride. No, she said, I was training you because one day you would lead. Josh nodded, and as they flew into the stars again, he felt something shift inside him. He was no longer just a man trying to survive. Now, he was a symbol of fear for the most powerful beings in the galaxy. And he was just getting started. Josh becomes the leader. Josh stood at the window of Turok's starship, staring at the swirling blue storm clouds of Exarvok 9. The planet looked dead. Cold. Gray. Silent. But under its surface, hybrids were being held captive. Tortured. Experimented on. Velzeri placed a hand on his shoulder. This is your moment, she said softly. You're ready. Josh wasn't so sure. His hands were sweating. His stomach twisted. He wasn't a general. He wasn't a hero. He was just a guy who used to design posters for pizza shops. But when he thought of those children locked in labs, scared and alone, something inside him hardened. No more hiding, he whispered. We take the fight to them. Inside Turok's hidden war room, the plan took shape. A 3D hologram of the Exarvok 9 facility flickered above the round table. It looked like a maze of cold corridors and red warning lights. Turok pointed at the weakest entry point, a trash shaft that dumped into a recycling bay. "It's dangerous," he said, "filled with heat waves and metal blades, but it's not guarded. No one's stupid enough to crawl through it." Josh raised an eyebrow. "Except us," Velzeri added. "Once we're inside, we split into two teams. One heads for the lab to rescue the hybrids. The other plants charges on the cloning equipment." Josh nodded. "If we can stop the cloning, we take away their weapon." Turok scratched his chin. "You really have changed, human. You speak like a warrior now." Josh didn't smile. "This isn't about being a warrior," he said. "It's about being human." They trained for 3 days straight. Velzeri sharpened his fighting skills. Turok showed him how to hack Galactic Lord tech using a device called a neurospike. It connected directly to Josh's brain. Painful, but powerful. Josh also trained with the others, a group of rebel fighters, half-alien outcasts, and a few other human-alien couples who had been living in fear. He spoke to each one. He listened to their stories, their pain, their hopes. They began to look at him differently, not just as a target, but as a leader. Even Velzeri noticed. At night, she sat beside him quietly. "You're becoming something more," she whispered. Josh looked at her, tired but hopeful. "Because of you." She smiled for the first time in days. "No, because of you." The night before the mission, Josh couldn't sleep. He stood outside the ship, under the stars. Everything felt so big. The galaxy, the danger, the responsibility. Velzeri walked up and stood beside him. "You still have fear," she said. Josh nodded. "Yes." "Good," she said. "Leaders with no fear are dangerous. But leaders who move forward despite fear, they change worlds." He looked at her, eyes steady. "Then let's change this one." The drop onto Xarvok 9 was rough. Their small shuttle rocked hard as it broke through the stormy atmosphere. Lightning crackled outside. The sky was thick with black clouds. They landed behind a broken ridge, out of sight from scanners. Josh led the team forward. The entrance to the trash shaft was exactly where the hologram showed. A round hatch with rusted bolts and green mist leaking from the edges. "Here goes nothing," Josh muttered. He crawled in first. The shaft was narrow and hot. Metal hissed beneath him. Rotating blades moved above and below. The heat stung his skin. He moved fast, crawling and sliding, remembering everything Velzeri had taught him. Behind him, the others followed in silence. After 15 minutes of slow crawling, they dropped into a cold chamber. Josh stood up. They were inside the facility. The lights were red. The air smelled of chemicals. Machines buzzed. They split up. Josh led the rescue team. Velzeri and Turok went to destroy the clone machines. He moved through the halls with 2 others, Rex, a half-feline alien, and Mira, a quiet girl with crystal eyes, who used to live on Earth. They reached the lab doors. Josh used the neurospike. Pain shot through his skull as the machine connected. Come on, he whispered. The door clicked open. Inside, they saw rows of cages. And inside the cages were children. Small, weak, some barely breathing. Hybrids, just like the ones the Galactic Lords feared. Josh ran in. "We're here to help." The children stared with wide, confused eyes. Rex smashed the locks. Mira used her energy to melt the bars. Josh knelt beside a tiny girl with blue skin and dark human hair. She looked up at him and whispered, "Are you the one from the stories?" Josh blinked. "What stories?" She reached out and touched his hand. "The one who makes the Lords afraid." Suddenly, alarms blared. Josh's communicator crackled. It was Velzeri. "We've planted the charges. Meet at the extraction point. Move now." Josh turned to the children. "Follow me. Stay low. Stay quiet." They ran through the corridors, Josh leading the way, heart pounding. Guards appeared. He fought them. For the first time, his moves were fast, sharp, focused. He wasn't just surviving anymore, he was fighting back. They reached the shuttle as explosions rocked the facility. Velzeri and Turok were already aboard. Josh helped the last child in, then jumped inside. The shuttle lifted off just as fire swallowed the lab behind them. Back on Turok's ship, the rescued children ate and rested. Josh stood in the command room, bruised, burned, and smiling. Velzeri walked in, looking at him proudly. "You did it," she said. Josh shook his head. "We did it." Turok laughed. "You're not a poster boy anymore, human. You're a flame." And the Lords, they just saw you light up. Josh stared out at the stars. And for the first time, he felt ready for whatever came next. The clone experiment. Josh didn't sleep after the rescue. Even though they had saved dozens of hybrid children from the labs on Sarvok 9, even though the cloning facility had been blown apart, his mind refused to rest. Something still felt wrong. The Galactic Lords weren't just creating weapons. They were preparing for something bigger, something personal. Velzeri noticed it too. She stood beside him in the ship's command room, silent, her hand resting on the side of her belt, where her blade always stayed. Her eyes didn't blink. Her body remained tense. "They let us leave too easily," she said. Josh nodded. It felt like a trap, but not for us. Turok joined them, limping slightly from the last mission. "The Lords have layers of secrets. If you think that lab was the worst of it, think again." He tossed a small black cube on the table. This was pulled from the facility's backup system before it burned. Took Mira 2 hours to break through the firewalls. "You're going to want to see this." Velzeri activated the cube. A hologram appeared, grainy and flickering. Inside the image was another lab, much colder, silent. Dozens of tanks stood in a circle, filled with green fluid. In each one floated a humanoid figure. Josh stared closely. His heart dropped. The figures looked like him, exactly like him. Same eyes, same hair, same face. One by one, the clones inside the tanks opened their eyes. "They cloned you," Velzeri whispered. "They're making an army of you." Josh couldn't breathe. He stumbled back, heart pounding in his chest. Turok quickly paused the projection. "We think they took your DNA from the bounty logs, and maybe from a piece of your blood left behind on Earth. These Lords don't waste anything." Josh sat down, shaking. "But why me? Why clones of me?" Velzeri answered calmly, but her eyes were sharp with anger. "Because you are proof that a human mind can adapt to alien strength. Your training, your choices, your will, they saw all of it. And now they want to make copies, not of your kindness, not of your soul, just your strength." Josh looked at her. "What happens if they release them?" Turok leaned in. "Then the galaxy will have to fight an army of humans, built to obey." That same day, they got a distress call. It came from a rebel spy who had been deep inside the Lord's territory for years. His voice crackled over the speaker. "They've moved the clones to Facility Theta 7, a hidden moon base near the Black Rift. They're planning to activate them tomorrow." Then the signal cut. Josh stood up. "Then we go there. Tonight." Velzeri grabbed his arm. "Are you sure?" He looked at her, firm. "If I don't stop them, who will?" The journey to Theta 7 was dangerous. The moon orbited too close to a black rift, a space anomaly that twisted gravity and crushed ships like paper. Only one path led in safely. Turok's ship had to follow the path perfectly or risk being torn apart. They arrived in silence. The moon base was hidden behind a ring of ice and rock. No ships guarded it. No lights blinked. It was completely still. Velzeri scanned it twice. No defense grid, No heat signatures. It's too quiet. Josh gripped his staff, which means it's a trap. They entered the base from the south hangar. Inside, the halls were black and cold. The walls were covered in strange writing. Alien runes mixed with mathematical formulas. Turok whispered, "Cloning rituals. They're mixing science and old forbidden tech." As they moved deeper, the lights flickered. And then they found it. The central chamber. Rows of large tanks filled the room, connected by glowing blue wires. Inside each tank, a clone of Josh floated motionless. There were hundreds of them, each one perfect, each one deadly. Mira moved to the control panel. Her voice trembled. "They're already online, all waiting for one command to awaken." Josh stared into the eyes of one of the clones. It stared back. Something about its gaze was wrong. Empty. Cold. Velzeri stepped beside him. "These are not you. They have your face, your body, but not your fire." Suddenly, alarms blared. Doors slammed shut behind them. Gas began pouring into the room. From a speaker above, a deep voice echoed, "Welcome, Original. You are not a man anymore. You are the seed of evolution. Watch your replacement rise." The clones opened their eyes. Their bodies twitched. Then one moved. It broke the glass from inside. Then another. And another. Josh gripped his staff. "We need to shut them down. Now." Mira screamed from the console. "The controls are locked. They've hardwired the activation." Turok tossed Josh a glowing red chip. "This is your brain map, your identity code. If you can get to the core, maybe you can override them." Josh looked at the rising clones, now stepping out of the tanks, silent and powerful. "Cover me," he said, and sprinted for the central control tower. The climb was brutal. Guards appeared, cybernetic hybrids controlled by the Lords. Velzeri fought like a storm beside him, cutting through them with speed and fury. Josh reached the core chamber. It pulsed like a living heart, full of wires and lights. He pulled out the chip, slid it into the core. Pain exploded in his skull. Memories flashed. His training, his childhood, his marriage, every fight, every fear, every act of love. The system fought him. But he pushed back. "I'm not a weapon," he growled. "I'm not your puppet." With one final scream, he forced the command through. Override accepted. Clone control system shutting down. The clones collapsed like puppets with cut strings. The room went quiet. Later, as they left the burning base, Josh looked out the window. Dozens of clone bodies floated in space, drifting like lost shadows. Velzeri stood beside him. "You stopped them," she said. Josh's face was pale. "For now." She took his hand. "You are not weak, Josh. You never were." He looked at her, eyes hard with fire. "Then let them come." Earth's new protector. The Galactic Lords were furious. Their clone experiment had failed. Their secret lab on Theta 7 had been destroyed. And the original, the one they feared most, was still alive. Josh, the human. But now he was no longer just a man hiding behind a stronger wife. He was a name that echoed in their dark council chambers, a symbol of rebellion, a spark that could set the whole galaxy on fire. And he was going home. Josh sat quietly inside Turok's ship as it approached Earth's orbit. His armor was scratched, his hands were bandaged. His eyes were tired, but calm. Beside him, Velzeri sat, holding his hand. Neither spoke. They had survived a war, a trap, a nightmare of clones. But the fight wasn't over. The Galactic Lords would return, not just for him, but for Earth. "They will come soon," Velzeri said softly, "to make an example, to punish this planet for protecting you." Josh nodded. "Then we give Earth a reason to stand." The ship landed on Earth, in the mountains outside the city. News of the hybrid child rescue had already leaked into rebel channels. Secret videos of Josh fighting the Lord's forces have been passed around by underground networks. Whispers began to spread. The human who fought the clones. The alien wife who trained him. The man who made the Lords afraid. People came. Not just humans. Other alien refugees. Hidden hybrids. Outcasts who had been running their whole lives. They came from spaceports, from forests, from holes in the ground, to see Josh. And he stood before them, no longer afraid. "I didn't ask for this fight," he said to the crowd. "I was tired. I was weak. I only wanted to sleep." That made a few people laugh. Josh smiled. But when someone comes to your home and says you're not allowed to exist, you have two choices: run forever or fight for the right to live. He looked up at the sky. They are coming for Earth, so we prepare. And when they arrive, they won't find the weak little world they expected. He lifted the alien staff high. They'll find us. Ready. For the next few weeks, Josh and Velzeri worked harder than ever. Together, they trained humans and hybrids alike. Turok brought weapons and technology from across the stars. Mira taught children how to control their strange powers. Rex ran drills in the forests using alien tactics. Josh focused on building something more than an army. He built a family. A force with heart. Not soldiers who followed commands without question, but people who fought because they had something to protect. Every day, more came. Velzeri stood at Josh's side, watching him grow. She remembered the soft human who once begged to sleep past midnight. Now, he was a leader, a protector, and to her, a true warrior. Then the day arrived. The sky turned red at dawn. Huge ships appeared above Earth, black, silent, shaped like knives. The Lords had arrived. They sent one message to every screen on Earth: surrender the hybrid, or face destruction. Josh stood before the crowd. His voice was calm, strong. "We do not surrender, family." He tapped a small device. A shield appeared, one built using alien and human tech together. It covered the main base like a glowing bubble. Turok's ships flew into the air. Mira and the other gifted children moved underground to stay safe. Velzeri held her blade and looked at her husband. "Are you ready?" she asked. Josh looked at the massive ships in the sky and nodded. "I haven't slept in months. Let them try." The battle was brutal. The Lord sent machines, soldiers, and cloned beasts from the sky. They dropped into Earth's forests, cities, oceans, trying to scare the world into submission. But they didn't expect resistance. They didn't expect a human to lead alien warriors. They didn't expect a planet ready to stand. Josh fought on the front line. He moved with the strength of a Cretharian, the fire of a human, and the heart of a protector. He saved lives. He destroyed enemy weapons. He never backed down. Velzeri fought beside him, matching him blow for blow. Proud, deadly, and in love. Together, they turned the tide. And when the lead worship descended, the one controlled by the Lord who had created the clone army, Josh and Velzeri boarded it. They fought their way to the core, face to face with the masked Lord. The creature laughed. "You are a weak species, human. You cannot protect Earth." Josh answered, "Then why are you so afraid of me?" And with one final strike, they destroyed the ship's control system from within. The enemy retreated. Earth had survived, and the galaxy had changed. Weeks later, the leaders of free planets gathered in orbit. Josh stood before them, not as a soldier, not as a symbol, but as a voice for Earth. "We don't want to rule," he said. "We don't want to conquer. We want to live, to build, to protect, and we want peace." The other planets agreed, and the Alliance of Free Worlds was born, with Earth as a founding member. That night, Josh finally returned home, to the small house where it all began. The training grounds were quiet. The weapons were locked away. The stars were calm. Velzeri stood beside him. For the first time in months, she let him sleep. Really sleep. No training. No alarms. No fear. Just peace. And as he drifted off, her voice whispered softly in his ear, "You are no longer the weak Earthling I once married." He smiled. "And you're no longer the scary alien who ruined my naps." They both laughed. Outside, the galaxy watched, not with fear, but with hope.